you formed the opinion at that time he was dead.
Yes.
And you wouldn't authorize a call to be made if you thought there was any chance of saving an individual, would you?
No.
But for Dr. Murray, he doesn't even get brought to UCLA Medical Center, does he?
That would be a correct statement.
You basically felt when Michael Jackson was brought in, everything's going to be futile anyway. Is that correct?
My assessment when he arrived was that he was clinically dead.
And I asked him, from the time that he found that the patient was down, what was the time that EMS or the 911 was called. And he couldn't remember that either. He said he did not have any concept of time.
Did he ever mention any other narcotics to you other than the Ativan or the lorazepam?
No, I specifically asked, and his reply was negative.
Okay. And he never mentioned propofol to you?
Absolutely not.
When was it that Dr. Murray felt the pulse?
I did not ask, because Dr. Murray didn't tell me. Specifically, he told Dr. Cruz.
Did Dr. Cruz ask him when he felt the pulse? Whether it was an hour ago or 2 hours ago?
Not to my knowledge.
Would it matter if it was an hour ago or 2 hours ago?
In a case of collapse like this, we're not talking about hours. We're talking about seconds, minutes.
So
yes, it matters.
So you had a brief conversation with Dr. Murray, and you had received that patient letter. Were you seeking a referral for another physician?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever receive a referral for another physician?
No, ma'am.
My grandmother was his patient, and I've seen how he treated my grandmother. So I said, if I asked him if I could volunteer at his office.
And as it turns out, a lot of these patients had a tendency to have an attachment to Dr. Murray.
They do.
Did you meet Conrad Murray in February of 2008?
Yes.
Did you meet him at a social type club?
Yes.
Did Conrad Murray send you text messages?
Yes.
Did you text message Conrad Murray back on the phone number that he had given you?
Yes.
Did you maintain regular contact either in person or through a telephone with Conrad Murray so that you got to know each other better?
Yes.
Did Conrad Murray refer to you as his girlfriend during that period of time?
Yes, but excuse me, only in like a playing sense.
About 5 or 6 minutes into the telephone call, you realize that he had not been saying anything back to you. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Did you recognize the mumbling to be from Conrad Murray's voice that you recognize, or some voice that you did not recognize?
I didn't recognize the voices at all.
In March of 2009, did you give birth to a son?
Yes.
And that son's father is Conrad Murray. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
When Conrad Murray told you that he was Michael Jackson's physician, were you interested in that information?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
It's Michael Jackson.
Dr. Murray advised you that he was going to be expecting shipments and they would be coming to your apartment and you should be on the lookout for them, correct?
Yes.
Did he give you any details or information about what was contained in the packages?
No.
Did you need to sign for the packages that came to your residence?
Yes.
He asked me specifically to find pricing and availability of propofol and normal saline IV bags.
Mr. Lopez, you testified that prior to filling any orders, you would want to verify that the person you're speaking with is a licensed physician, correct?
Yes.
And one of the ways you do that is you ask for the person's medical license number, correct?
Yes.
And in this case, everything checked out. There was no red flags or incorrect numbers, correct?
Correct.
So Dr. Murray was authorized to place these orders for these medications, correct?
Yes.
Did you conduct analysis on the iPhone as it relates to this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you see the date on there, July 28, 2009?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Was that the date this was recovered, to your knowledge?
That's correct.
It hurt, you know?
Okay.
Is this a photograph you took of Mr. Jackson on June 25th in this private room you've described at UCLA?
Yes, it is.
Upon your review of Mr. Jackson at this time, as reflected in People's 98, did you observe any signs of trauma or any obvious signs that would help you or the deputy medical examiner determine a cause of death?
No.
Do you see this wooden chair that I'm pointing to that has a jug of urine and some pads next to it seated on the chair?
Yes.
Okay. And in this same photograph, to the left of this photograph is an IV pole with a hanging saline bag and also IV tubing draped over that IV pole. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Is this the jug of urine as you found it on June 25th, 2009, next to it being some medical pads?
Yes.
You mentioned that you did not describe the IV stand in your initial report, right?
Yes.
You also did not describe the saline bag in your initial report, right?
The saline bag on the IV stand,
Right.
correct.
Would you consider that a mistake, Ms. Fleek, on your part?
I described something in detail later on. I didn't include it in the general initial narrative. Is it a mistake? I could have described it more in detail.
You could have described it at all. Had you by that time destroyed your notes from June 25th?
I don't know which day I actually destroyed the hand notes.
Can you describe the findings as it relates to propofol in the liver?
Yes, we detected 6.2 micrograms per gram, and it was conducted by the same analyst who did the propofol for the heart blood and femoral blood, Jamie Lintemuth.
Do you think that's why it's higher than the others? Because if it was taken at the hospital, it didn't have as much chance to redistribute?
Objection if he knows.
Do you know?
I don't necessarily like the phrase of the question. I mean, I can answer to what I think he's aiming for, but...
Okay, if the question's vague, then
it's vague.
We both agree. Sustained. If you want to re-ask it, Ms. Flanagan.
Well, tell me how
in terms
you
of
think
the area,
I
go ahead.
should ask it so that you would understand it, since you know what I'm looking for.
On June 25th, then, at the house, was there a general room or area where you were focusing your attention as far as the LAPD photographer and things of that nature?
Yes, sir, there was.
And which room was that?
It was the upstairs bedroom where the decedent had passed away.
Did you attend the autopsy of Michael Jackson on that day?
Yes, sir, I did.
And at that time, following your presence at the autopsy, had you learned of a definitive cause of death to aid in your investigation?
No, I did not.
You said, I'd like to have some milk. You said, please give me some milk so that I can sleep, because I know that this is all that really works for me.
Hot milk or warm or just...
This is just a medicine.
What
that
is...
he was familiar with.
What is the medicine?
It's called propofol.
Propofol, okay.
Yeah.
So how do we spell that, doctor?
Propofol.
And what is this propofol?
It is a sedative that could also be used for anesthesia. Then I came back to his bedside and I was stunned in the sense that he wasn't breathing, because I always want to look at his chest and look at his diaphragmatic motion and all of those things. I looked at the pulse oximeter right away, and his heart rate was like 122 beats.
So all of this is going on is you're caring for him with the paramedics' help on the floor at the house, nothing in the ambulance yet?
No.
Okay. And they want to give up, and you don't want to give up, so they transfer care to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I love Mr. Jackson. He was my friend, and he opened up to me in different ways, and I wanted to help him.